Most of you know me as the League of Legends guy, the guy that comes on here and talks about the LCS, LEC Beyond, etc. And I get why a lot of people don't know what I do outside of League of Legends. It's not that I've never been transparent about it, it's just that I don't talk about it all that much. But today actually gives me a really unique opportunity to tell you all what I do professionally, go a little bit more in depth because I've got something to celebrate that you all get to learn today alongside everybody else. But in order to get you there, I kind of need to walk through my entire journey here in New York City. So let's go a little bit that way. So this right here is the Majestic Theater. It is one of many Broadway theaters here in New York City, currently home to Beaches, but it was formerly the home of Phantom of the Opera. That billboard right over there was one of the most popular signs to take pictures in front of and beyond here in the city. I got down on one knee, proposed, and the biggest thing that I promised was that I would find a way at some point to get us here to New York, because we were still in college back in North Carolina at the time. I was not here, I had no career prospects coming to the city, but somehow, some way, I would find a way to get us into this city and give her the life that she wanted, because she wanted to eventually work her way to Broadway, or at least be around the arts in some capacity. I was at the time working in the golf industry in college, but I was also looking for a way out. So at the time I swapped my major from marketing to accounting, finished my undergraduate degree down in North Carolina, and started applying to grad schools, which conveniently did bring us here. But for that, we need to go downtown. Welcome to NYU, folks, specifically the Stern School of Business. This is where I would end up getting my master's of accounting and do one final year of school before entering the workforce. So during my senior year of undergrad, Emily had applied for an audition and got into an accelerated conservatory program here in New York City to begin her career in musical theater. It was awesome. It was her taking the first step towards achieving her dreams. The issue for me was I had not applied for anything here in the city yet. We're waiting to see if she would get it before we made any moves. So now I need to figure out how I'm going to get myself and my career in accounting into the city, which in theory shouldn't be hard, but getting a job here is not easy when you're also competing with thousands of people who are already here. Now, the benefit or downside, depending on how you view it, of becoming a certified public accountant is that you need, in the state of New York, 150 credit hours, or did. I think they're in the process of changing that. So I needed one more year of schooling to be able to hit the hour requirement, which I could then get my license. So I applied for grad school both in New York City and around. So I applied to Penn State, to Temple, and to NYU. Penn State and Temple, I figured I would probably get in because I had a 600 GMAT score. My GPA in college was a 3.5.2-ish. It wasn't bad, but I was very involved with extracurriculars. I was an RA for 3 years, golf all throughout. I had the angle of being an inactive PGA professional and having this unique thing, but also leveraging, a passion for entertainment in all of my essays. I got into Penn State and Temple without a problem. That was great, but I was really waiting to see if I could get into NYU, because that would be our way of both Emily and I being here in the city. And I'll never forget, I was walking the dogs back in PA, and I opened up my phone, the email finally came, and I somehow got in. Now, let me be clear to you. I was the dumbest person in my class at NYU. That GMAT score, low. My GPA, low compared to everybody else here. I think I just wrote one hell of an essay, and I think that's part of also why I enjoy speaking on YouTube, is it's a very similar cadence and talk. So I would end up getting my master's in accounting. I would pass all 4 parts of the CPA exam before beginning my first job. And I know some of you will ask, I didn't have much debt coming out of undergraduate. I think I had like 20,000, give or take. Did a lot of things to reduce that number while I was there. But for 1 year at NYU, I did rack up 90 grand of student loans. But the reason why I wanted to consider this, and the reason why I took that, is because I believe that the caliber of school that you went to got your first foot higher in the industry, which would open up more opportunities and more potential companies to actually look at you, given your background and the alumni network of NYU. Like, a lot of what you do in the professional world is networking, and being able to get access to a name like NYU on a resume. I'll be honest with you, had I gone to Penn State or Temple, maybe I get these opportunities, but I feel like where I'm at right now really was kind of kickstarted by going. So yes, I took on a lot of debt to do so. I'm perfectly fine in terms of paying everything off. It's a lifelong investment. I understand that, but I genuinely wouldn't be where I'm at right now had I not made that choice, in my opinion. You could make the argument otherwise, but getting yourself here in the city and acclimated and then being able to have those conversations because you live here is drastically different than trying to work your way in from the outside. So that covers the first a year and a half of us being here. So 2017 through the end of 2018, when I would begin working my first professional job. Right down there is 135 West 50th, home of Mazars USA, or at least it used to be Mazars USA. I'm not sure exactly what it is now because I know they merged with another public accounting firm. That was my first job out of college. I was an audit associate, which for those of you that don't know what that is, basically you go to companies and you verify that their financial statements are good, that they are being reported correctly, that the numbers are good, that the processes behind reporting those financial statements don't open you up for fraud potentially. It sounds great. The reality is in finance, most people hate auditors because we were an encumbrance on your day-to-day processes of trying to already manage what is a very hectic life. But it is a very important role in the financial world that prevents bigger issues in the economy from happening. But it sure as hell does not pay well. I was paid $61,000 for the year that I was working in public accounting. The one fun part about the job was that I did get to travel a good bit. Almost all of the clients, or at least the team that I got on, our clients were out of state. So I was going to Texas, I was going to Virginia, I was going, where else? Oh, dude, I was everywhere. The first half of the year for busy season and a little bit beyond that, I wasn't in New York City for probably about, I don't know, maybe all but 3 weeks. And the reason why I ended up leaving was exactly for that reason. I wanted to be here with my wife, my dogs, my family, and just like New York City in general. I don't want to have a job here that then doesn't have me here the majority of the year. And because my manager liked me, he wanted to keep me on the same clients. And I told them that. But then when they went into year-end reviews, I got good remarks, but I didn't change teams. So I knew I had to look for something else, which was fine because I wasn't looking to stay in public accounting. The work itself, very mundane. I mean, most of finance is, but like this felt really bad. I didn't enjoy exactly what I was doing. So I always wanted to work in media and entertainment. So I kept applying to a few companies and eventually I finally got one to bite and landed the job. So let's begin my career in entertainment. While we're walking to the next spot, I can give you some additional lore. At the time, Emily and I were paying for rent $2,600, $2,700 when I was first out of college and started work. This might be jumping the timeline a little bit, but prices post-COVID went up drastically, and it forced us to unfortunately move from Hell's Kitchen here in Midtown, which was a great spot for Emily to be close to auditions, for me to be able to walk to work. I paid nothing in terms of commute getting there each and every day. But rents post-COVID jumped from about $3,000 for our one-bedroom apartment to about $4,800. In order to keep our same rent, because we were comfortable with $3K, we were working our way towards being able to make sure that that was only 30% of our overall pay, or at least my pay, because how we structured our personal finances was that my salary, because I was in finance, I would take care of the rent, and each of us would be responsible for individual things within the relationship, and it's worked quite well. But now in 2026, our rent is still $3,000, but now we're in Jersey City. But I make the proportion that I should in terms of paying that rent. Welcome to the BlackRock building, which I think is now entirely Charles Schwab, but at the time it used to be home of CBS, prior to Viacom CBS becoming a thing, and you all know them as Paramount. It's complicated. Yes, I left public accounting to go work in the entertainment industry, at CBS specifically. My responsibility was within ad sales finance. So for late night television and for CBS News, I was responsible for getting the audience metrics that would come in and see if we were delivering the numbers that we were supposed to advertisers. We promised them a certain amount of eyeballs. I'd have weekly meetings about the different shows and communicate to the teams whether we hit that, whether we were behind, do we need to make things up, what upcoming things are happening with the shows that might have elevated audiences or lower audiences, like whole dynamic to it. But it was kind of a blend of finance and accounting, but also like just an understanding of media and entertainment, which I genuinely love. Bit of a pay bump, about I think 10K more-ish starting off. And I ended up working this job for right around 9 months, because then
the SEC and NCAA tournaments are canceled tonight and for the rest of the weekend as both groups work to prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
This is the one time I've ever been laid off from a job. I got an email on a Tuesday morning, like the week after everything with COVID had officially happened. The NCAA tournament had been canceled and beyond. I didn't see it coming at all, to be honest with you. I thought it might happen with the merger with Viacom and CBS, which was happening at the time. Luckily, they gave me 3 months of severance, so I was fine for the first 3 months of COVID to try and find a job, which actually proved to be a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be at first. For a good 2 months, I tried sticking to entertainment and the things that I enjoyed, but I couldn't find anything. So within the last month before things ran out, I started applying to everybody. And the one company that was doing quite well during COVID, that was hiring at a rapid pace, that was Peloton.
Peloton sales, they are surging as people look to work out at home while gyms, as we all know, are closed.
Peloton was a very interesting period of my life. It was a job that I needed, not one that I had by choice. I made about $75,000, I think, and they gave us a bunch of stock in the company, which is very typical for kind of like tech startups. That is great if you can cash out on it, not so great if you can't. But that didn't make up for the hours that we ended up working. There, I was a staff accountant overseeing European and international revenues as we reported bikes in. So basically, you had to make sure that each bike that was sold actually had left the warehouse and actually left inventory and was delivered to a home, because in order to recognize revenue on that, it had to be delivered to the home. So you needed to vet pretty much everything and verify that a revenue number is correct. If that's wrong, you obviously have very massive problems. That job sucked, I'll be honest with you. It was traditional accounting. I didn't want to go back into that world. I was enjoying the finance side of things, but you don't have a choice. A job's a job. To make matters worse, this was peak COVID. So we didn't work in office, we worked from home. And one of the things that I didn't like about working from home, and I still don't, is you don't understand the toll that work can take on people, especially as you are working longer hours as the business is booming, but we're not being compensated for working investment banking hours. The reason why I'm filming this here on West Side Highway is because this was my escape. During that time, I come out for runs. I would do anything I could to just escape work during the times where we weren't busy, and try and just mentally reset, because I just wanted to get through it. From the moment I walked into Peloton, I kind of always knew my time there would be limited in some capacity, because I wanted to get back A, into the finance side of things, and B, to entertainment. I want to at least enjoy what I do, and I have a passion for entertainment beyond just esports or sports or gaming, media, YouTube, all of it. I enjoy every element of entertainment. So what if I got a job at arguably the biggest company in all of entertainment? That leads us to Disney. Welcome to 7 Hudson Square, folks, my home for the last year and a half since Disney's corporate headquarters has moved here, but in general, my home at Disney for the last 5 years. At Disney, I was a senior financial analyst. I don't remember what my salary was coming into everything, but as of the time of me leaving last Friday, my salary was $114,000. Without going into too many specifics, my daily responsibilities were overseeing parts of the Disney streaming financial statements. So you could look up the Disney financial statements on sec.com/Edgar if you want to, but G&A, marketing, and the sales note, or at least portions of them within the Disney streaming P&L, so specifically Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and any of the other programs that exist there, the studios that then report to them. I oversaw not only the forecasting of amounts going into the future for AOPs, for LRPs, AOP being an annual operating plan, so the following year's budget, LRPs being your long range plan, so many years out in the future of what our financial outlook looks like for Disney streaming, but then also the actualization of costs. So at the end of each quarter, we take a look at the ledger, make sure everything's right. If we need to correct anything because things were wrongly booked, we'd make those entries. Much more finance, but still a background in accounting helps, especially when you're dealing with quarter close. But the majority of my job was being the liaison between teams as we consolidated everything up for the financial statements. This job was great because coming off of Peloton, it was going back to normal hours. Now, granted, we were still not in lockdown, but we were all still working from home for the first, I think, year or so of me being at Disney. Then we returned back to the office back at 1211, which is in Midtown. And then eventually we moved down here. And honestly, with Disney, I can't tell you enough how much fun it was to work for this company. Obviously, the perks are great. Free admission to the parks when you're a corporate employee with 3 guest passes, so we could take 3 people with us anytime we wanted to go down there. The perks of obviously working in New York for Disney, we got to see early access movie screenings, but just most importantly, the people that I worked with and worked for at Disney were some of the favorite people that I've ever met in my life. I grew a lot professionally and became somebody that I believe was equipped for a manager role, but unfortunately corporate red tape, things happen. You're not able to get roles, they don't open up. Finance, for those of you that don't understand, unlike public accounting or being a lawyer where you can continue to work hard and eventually work your way to becoming a partner, or at least if you can get enough hours to do so, you can kind of work your way there, even though there is some corporate politics. With traditional finance, it's very much a pyramid, and you've got a lot of employees at the intern analyst level, even less at the SFA level, and then even less at a manager level. So until things open up or the company expands or beyond, you're just not going to get those opportunities. That's the one flaw that exists within corporate America is 9 times out of 10, if you want to get a promotion, unless you're with a really good company that has upward mobility, which is not easy to find nowadays, you end up having to go elsewhere. But I'm going to miss so many people at Disney. I'm going to miss the company. I have nothing but respect for everybody here. And the entertainment industry is just fun to work in. I don't care what anybody says. I know the pay's lower than other places, obviously. The entertainment side of finance is very much this combination field of both passion because you love the company that you work for and the things that you do, but sacrificing pay at that cost because obviously it's not as financially profitable as like insurance or investment banking or any of those are. So you're getting a little bit lower pay, but you're also working a little bit more normal hours, which is great. But now I think it's time for the reveal that I've been waiting to tell you all for quite some time. But we have to go back up to Midtown. Welcome to Park Avenue, folks. Specifically 345 Park Avenue, home to the NFL's corporate headquarters, where I will be working as a finance manager. That's right, your boy finally got the role I've been working for 5 years towards, with genuinely one of the most insane companies that I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever be working for. I grew up in a football family. I've been going to Steeler games since I was little. My parents were Steelers fans, born in Pittsburgh, even though I'm a Vikings fan because I love Barney and wanted a purple jersey. Got a Randy Moss jersey and stuck with that ever since. Football's been a part of my life forever, and this is an evolution of what I said towards the beginning of I want to work in entertainment. I will note that it is bonus eligible for the first time in my professional career. And the NFL has an insane pension plan, which is given on your base pay and your bonus. And pension plans nowadays are just not really heard of, at least with the amount that they're contributing towards it. Normally, for those of you that need a quick crash course, you have a 401k where you put a percentage of your income of your paycheck into your retirement and the company will match it. A pension plan is the company just giving you a flat amount into your retirement. They are paying for it for you. Now, obviously, it's still beneficial for you to put some money yourself towards your own retirement, but it's unheard of in today's day and age. But for the job itself, I'm beyond happy because over the last 2 years, I've been trying to transition from a senior financial analyst to a manager. That's been the push professionally behind the scenes that honestly I've been struggling with for a bit. It's not that I knew that I wasn't doing good enough work, it's just opportunities were never coming up. Prior to landing this role, I kid you not, I have applied for the NFL probably about 4 or 5 times. It's a company that I knew is based out of New York, or at least the corporate office is, that I've always wanted to work for, and somehow it's now happening. Now, to bring this back to esports, I have been working a part-time job in addition to my full-time job to help supplement our income as a family to make sure that we're in a good spot after taking some risks during the COVID years that didn't pay off, and that's fine. We deal with the choices that we make, but now as a repercussion of that, I did have to find additional work to supplement things. Even though I was making money on TikTok and YouTube and beyond, as you can see by the numbers here, and I'll put how much I've made this year alone from just AdSense revenue on social media, the two aren't comparable. So for those that thought that I would ever leave my full-time job for content creation, no, that's not happening, nor do I plan on that ever happening. A stable full-time career for me helps fund the things that I want to do as passion projects on the side, which is esports, which obviously most of you know by this point I'm very passionate about. What this job does allow me to do is I do not have to teach golf anymore on Sundays to supplement everything. Content revenue alone, plus the increase that I'm getting for this job now, will allow me to be available every weekend for LCS co-streams. Now, I will be in the office 5 days a week, which means you will be seeing more league coverage and conversations out and about in the city because I'm going to have to change up how I film content just a little bit to make sure that I can keep the same content creation process that I have streamlined to fit into a work schedule. I'll see how that goes. You shouldn't notice any changes at all. It's just the background might be a little bit different than the office sometimes. Specifically for the pit, I think that one's going to end up getting filmed out and about in the city. But yeah, I hope this was a good quick look for you into me as a professional, because I know I talk a lot about esports and a lot of people don't know my background or what I do. And obviously I'm no longer going to be able to use football in the NFL in terms of my comparisons, or at least things that are what related to my day-to-day job. But I hope this serves as information for you all to understand that I work in the entertainment industry. I'm back to working in the sports industry. I know a lot of people don't like the blending of sports and esports, and they think it should be its own thing, but there are many lessons that we can genuinely learn from sports, and I will always, and have always, tried to push for those within the space. Hopefully now this at least paints a picture for you that those viewpoints and where I'm coming from are rooted in actual work and experience. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And by the time you're seeing this, actually, I'll be in there working. Thanks again. Thanks again for the road to 10K. We're almost there. Bye-bye.